Okay. Looks like the mic is working, kind of, sort of. It seems a little quiet. Okay. So, we're going to be playing more, another Pioneer Challenge. We're going to be playing some more blue, red lotus. Sorry, I'm sort of trying to set up the stream at the same time as I'm talking to you. Ginkgo took Lotus to a top 8 yesterday with a deck list that was almost exactly the same as the one that we were running. So I shamelessly stole the changes that he made. And yeah, we'll see if that fares any better for us. Hey Tyranno, how are you doing? Twitch says I'm playing 7 billion humans. Okay, that's not true. Let's see. How can I change? That's weird. Are you sure? Because my Twitch says that I'm playing playing Magic. Oh, okay, just the go live notification. Yeah, that's probably a artifact of the streaming service that I'm using. Gonna play some Helldivers. Sounds great. Ooh, this is a convenient way for me to tell what the latency is. I can look at the amount of time until the tournament starts, and I can see the difference between YouTube and Twitch. Damn, it's like 15 seconds. That's pretty crazy. Let's see. I guess I can pull up the deck list so we can talk while we wait. So it's almost the same deck list that we ran yesterday. Um, Minor change in the main deck. Jwari Disruption instead of Spikefield Hazard. The rest of the main deck is exactly the same. I think that's a fine change. And sideboard, ley lines are gone, and I like this change a lot. It's instead of 3 ley lines, it's 3 fables, and I think the fables slot in just about every matchup that the ley lines would, and they do a better job because you get this like really uncomfortable position where you feel like you might have to mulligan for the ley lines if you only have 3 of them, but that makes your hands a whole lot worse. And then drawing them later in the game, they're just like this clunky mess. Whereas Fable is good at any point in your opening hand, in like the mid game. It's just an excellent card to have. And also, Chapter 2 helps insulate you from Thought Seizes pretty well too. You get to play off the top of your deck a lot deeper. Playing Rafine in Brawl and want to play it more in paper. Yeah, Rafine is nice. I'm not sad to see her go from standard, but Rafine is nice. Yeah, I think other than that, the deck is exactly the same. It's just 4 cards changed. And we're just going to try to play a little better and get a little luckier than we did yesterday. Get ready with the MTG Goldfish deck search, because I'm a sweaty grinder. So 50 people probably still dealing with 6-round tournament. think if we hit 64, then we have a 7th round. So it could be a long afternoon. Hopefully, it's a long afternoon. All right, here we go. I said, here we go. There we go. All right, on the draw against Tyus M, who has been playing exclusively Azorius Flash in the last several Pioneer challenges. Yeah, so this is Spirits. We had a bad experience against Spirits yesterday, so this is kind of a rough start. I think this is a particularly difficult matchup. So this hand does not have access to an early Lotus. It doesn't have any early removal or any interaction. It does have Artist Talent, but I think it's a little too slow, especially on the draw. So I'm pretty sure we're supposed to mulligan this one when the time comes. Ugh. We have a lot of looks. Like any one land, and we have a Consider, and the hand's pretty good. I think we keep this and ship a Lotus Field and hope for the best. Some question of whether we start with Expedition Map or Consider, I guess. If we play Expedition Map first, then drawing untapped land opens up the fetch on turn 2. Call it Fountain tapped, okay? And then we can consider next turn, of course. I think I like that. Okay. Excellent start. All right, we had an awful lot of looks there, but no luck. All right, well, this has gone poorly. If they animate Mutavault, we can try to bounce it to their hand and try to Stone Rain them. So at this point, we're not going to get to cast this Flood Maw on this turn. If we draw an untapped land, we're going to crack the map. I think we're just supposed to cast this now. I think that's fine, right? It turned our bounce spell into a removal spell for the Wanderer. I mean, nothing is fine, of course. We're stuck on one land, but... Okay, this feels a little too late to save now. We're taking 3, 6, 9, 10 minimum next turn. Are there any outs? If we play Talent here and then find Vizier and maybe start going off with strings, I feel like anything involving cracking the expedition map is a little too slow. We could expedition map for Thespian stage, and that might open up some lines next turn. Like if we Vizier into hidden strings, then we have 2 lotuses in play, and with the pores... Yeah, maybe that's right, actually. Yeah, I think so. No, actually, no. That would require an extra land drop, so... I think we are in tough here. Another Phantom? Are we dead to another Phantom? No, it's only 10. Yeah, pretty dead. Not a very fun first game. Okay. So we get to bring in Fiery Impulses, Niv, Angers. Dispute is take or leave Dispute. The blue-white version has Rest in Peace. They have 2 of them. They have 4 Portable Hole, which means we have to be pretty careful with our expedition maps, I think. And cut Impulses. I think Cathartic Pyre is somehow too expensive. Bouncing their creatures sucks, but bouncing their Rest in Peace and Damping Spheres is kind of important. Maybe we can trim one of these. I think Bond is much too slow. Don't really want to cut anything that's part of the mana base. Maybe it's something like this. And maybe on the draw, we swap these around. Mystical Dispute stays out and the Flood Moss stays in. All right. Sure. This hand works. Start by playing Jory Runes tapped and say go. Hopefully next turn we get to resolve an artist talent. If we don't, no big deal. We have another. So this is only instant or sorcery, right? Right. I think I'm supposed to play the Riverglide pathway on red in anticipation of sacking both of those lands to the Lotus Field. Okay. Just straight up Damping Sphere, huh? So we got to find that one into the Flood Maw. That's the plan. Vizier not ideal in this spot. Yeah, losing game 1 in particular in this matchup was really rough. Because now that, like, we have to win 2 games through this crap. Maybe I just deploy Vizier as a blocker for the Mutavault. And then if I find the Into the Flood Maw, then Lotus Field can untap with it right away. The other option is level up Artist Talent. I guess cycling Vizier is also not the worst. Fills the graveyard a little more for dig through time. But if we do that and we whiff on land, then we don't get to make any progress on mana. They have 3 mana open. They just played out the Damping Sphere. They don't have Skyclave Apparition. What could they have? Spell Queller makes sense. I think I'm just going to play the Vizier. Well, I also want to fill the graveyard for dig through time. Like, these are small percentage plays. I don't think it really makes much of a difference. This also, like, gets us a draw at Fiery Impulse or something. Thespian Stage, sure. Yeah, and now I think I want to level up Artist Talent so we make progress towards this dig through time. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, I don't know. We're just so far behind. Yeah. Yeah, this is like the nightmare matchup. If you wanted to pick a deck that roasted this one, this would be the choice. Yeah, whoops. Consider. Sure. Come on. Okay. That's an answer to the damping sphere. All right, let's shock this in and try to dig through time. Okay. Now I think I'm into doing this because they can't flash anything in to grow the mausoleum. Oh no, fuck, because of the damping sphere. God damn it. Okay. Played a spell this turn already, so. Looks like Spirits is not a great draw for the challenge. Can I ask why you're hesitant to play the Lotus Field? Oh yeah, right. The Lotus Field, or the damping sphere is a disaster if we play the Lotus Field. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so with this on the stack, I think I cast Dig Through Time. Hope I'm doing well otherwise. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, everything's going well. I'm happy. I've been streaming a lot. I feel good. Wow, we resolved it. Oh! Niv is an absolute house. Oh man, this is tough. Next turn we won't have the mana to cast the Niv because of the stupid colorless Thespian stage, which maybe I should have kept in mind. If I play Anger and it gets countered, we take 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at least. Can I beat a counterspell? Because we have the line of we can Otawara, we can like play Otawara, cast Anger, and copy something with Thespian Stage to be able to cast the Niv. Thing is, I think Niv is too little too late if we don't wrath the board next turn. Okay. I think we're probably dead. But we're going to try. Giving up the Otawara as an answer to the Damping Sphere really stings, but I don't think there's anything else for it. I guess this Expedition map is also a tutor for Otawara in like the slowest possible way. Just don't believe we will ever get to cast it. I think I'll pitch this. Yeah. This is 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're dead to any spirit. And so what's rough here is that we can try to consider for a Fiery Impulse, but if we do, it'll cost 2 because of the Damping Sphere, and then the Fiery Impulse will cost 1. And if we kill the Spell Queller, the Anger will cost an additional 1. Because Spell Queller reads we can cast it without paying its mana cost, which will still be taxed by the Damping Sphere. So we're just like 1 mana short. Is there anything else that we could hit? I guess I could have tried to hit Mystical Dispute with Consider. That was probably the line. I guess we'll consider on their turn if we have to. Otherwise, I'll just copy, I guess, Jwari Runes with the Thespian Stage. But jamming Niv is not going to be good enough. Yeah, this has been very frustrating. They've just had it at every street. Like, every card in their deck is just so good against us. It's got to be a little scary for them, though. Like, if they have a spirit and they animate Mutavault, then we're dead. But that's a very committal play for them to make. Do I pitch anything? I think I have to pitch Leer. Okay, that works too. Kind of. Like, at this point, the board wipe might not be good enough because they have Mutavault and a Flashed in Spirit, and that's enough to kill. No thank you. Vizier. I don't mind cycling Vizier here, do I? I don't think so. Strings. I mean, I guess we just have to run this back. I guess we play a land first to play around double Spell Pierce. Spirits feels unwinnable sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I tend to play decks that Spirits match up very well with. Maybe one day I'll just, like, sleeve up mono white and lose everything except when I get paired with Spirits. Now what? It's an awful lot that kills us here. Like, Slip Out the Back kills us. Any Flashed in Spirit kills us. Spell Queller kills us. I don't know what's going on over there, though. Yeah, I've gotten better at, like, not tilting off at these matchups. Still not good at it, but I've gotten better at it. Is this like Shark Typhoon? Odawara. Wow. Okay. Huh. We can even dig through time if we want. probably have to. Do I do it now or on their end step? I guess dig through time is particularly nice with Damping Sphere because I can pay the tax with a card in my bin. I still think it's probably better to just try to copy with Thespian Stage, though. And then we can jam Niv and play Dig. I guess we can't, actually, because we don't have the mana to do that. These double Thespian Stage are killer. Okay. Supreme Phantom is lethal. Yep. All they need to do is suit up a Mutavault and we're dead. Yeah. Ugh. Gross. I think we started yesterday with spirits as well. We definitely ran into spirits and it felt a lot closer than that. Okay, well, let's watch it back. Okay, so first decision was this mulligan. I think this was fine. Thank you, Twin Slug, for saying I played it well. I'm not sure. Let's find out. I think this mulligan was fine. Knowing that we're up against spirits, no Lotus Field on the draw, no way to find one. Yeah, I think I'm fine with this mulligan. And then there was this. So if we draw any land, and there are 21 more of them left in the deck, if we draw any land in our first 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, this hand is nice. And we just didn't do that. I think that makes the keep okay. I don't think I mind this. I think going to 5 is really rough in this deck in particular because when you go through the Artist Talent loop, you just need to have the extra cards to be able to cycle through. I think I like the choice of Expedition Map on 1. Because if we don't find land with Consider, then what's the point? And this has the high roll opportunity of hitting the untapped land. So I like that choice. Opponent plays Mutavault, says go. We whiff on land. This is all forced. Lotus Field sucks. And in comes Rattle Chains. And the countdown begins. We take 2. Hey, Jay. All right, so we draw Artist Talent, whiff on land again. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards without finding any, well, without finding a non-Lotus Field land. Okay, so double Rattle Chains. It's like a relatively slow start for them, but that's also kind of scary. Because it means that once things do get rolling, if they do for us, they probably have the counter magic to back it up. Because this is like a relatively tame creature start from them. Into the Floodmaw on the Rattle Chains. I think we just have to assume that we're going to draw land next turn, because if we don't, the game is over. And if we do draw land next turn, then we're probably cracking the expedition map or playing artist talent. So we have to use the flood maw here. It's probably better, though, in light of what happened, to wait until no blocks are declared, because they could flash in the Supreme Phantom, and this is a much better bounce target. At the end of the day, it wouldn't have made a difference because they had this Mausoleum Wanderer to counter it. But waiting for blocks, I think, would have been a good choice. And now we find land. And the decision here is whether to crack the map or play the artist talent. My decision was crack the map, but I think that was wrong. I'm trying to find any outs at all at this point, because we're getting cracked for 3, 6, 7, 10, and we're at 12. And the opponent has... how many cards in hand? 3. So we're dead to another Supreme Phantom. I guess there's like a reasonable chance that we're not dead next turn. Yeah, artist talent is probably like marginally better. Expedition map, like cracking it, has the added benefit of getting us one step closer to dig through time. So I guess if we like chain some Viziers with a Lotus Field next turn, then maybe we can cast a dig through time and hopefully keep going off. But that's an option next turn too if we need the extra card. And artist talent fills the graveyard better than expedition map if things go well. So I think I like talent here instead of expedition map, but didn't do that. I would think if you're in the dig path, wouldn't just Lotus Field there be better? Well, we can't, right? We just played our second land. Oh yeah, this is because I'm. Hey Jay, yeah, this is because I'm playing the video from the last of the last round. So that video has my old camera in it. Yeah, that's okay. I was talking for like 5 minutes, so it's easy to forget that I made the land drop. All right, so we don't die. Opponent passes with 3 mana up. We crack the map. Fetching Otawara doesn't achieve anything, I don't think. I think Thespian Stage makes sense. And we find Valakut, and we're dead. There's just no way to offer any resistance here. Let's see, how did we end up sideboarding? Sideboarded like this. So most of this is on rails, right? I think these first 6 cards have to come in. Dispute is like... I've been unimpressed with Dispute in this matchup in the past, but that was with the green version of Lotus Field. Maybe it's better in the Is It version, because we do seem to have the ability to hold up 1 blue mana a lot better in this version of the deck than we did in the green version. I like cutting Bond, I like cutting Impulse, I like cutting Pyre. I like cutting a dig. I think, yeah, cutting 2 Flood Maws is probably too much. Probably should never cut 2. Cutting 1, I think, is okay. Maybe instead of cutting the second Flood Maw, it's just a second Sleight of Hand. Maybe even... I don't even know. Maybe it's a second dig through time, honestly. I could buy that. Floodmaw, I'm not sure that it does offer enough resistance in the early turns to help because almost all of their threats have flash, and they can usually replay them with minimal inconvenience, and it doesn't do anything towards our game plan. So I think if you're bringing in Floodmaw, it's not to slow them down, it's to deal with hate pieces like Rest in Peace or Damping Sphere. Against the flash decks, Floodmaw is not nearly as useful as it is against the sorcery speed creature decks. And if you're going to keep Floodmaw in, then like you need to make an argument for what to take out as well. Because we're also bringing in 3 Fiery Impulses, and Floodmaw, if you're bouncing their creatures, actually runs counter to the Anger of the Gods plan, right? Because if you're bouncing cards to their hand, they're not committing them to the board, and your angers are going to be worse. It's going to be less card advantage, and they're just going to have another thing to rebuild the board with after. Yeah, I think where I come down here is just keep the 1 Floodmaw in, and maybe just don't bring in the Dispute. Maybe that's right. Yeah, I could see that. Okay. So now we're on the play. We have a 2-lander with Artist Talent, Lotus Field, and Strings. There's an awful lot to like about this hand. Keep it, play Chwari. And they just have, like, the nut, right? Like, they just play Mausoleum Wanderer. I like the line here of Riverglide Pathway into Talent. And then they make like the somewhat impatient play of just jamming the Damping Sphere before we've played Lotus Field, which lets us a little bit off the hook, because I think next turn we were going to be more or less forced to play Lotus Field here, and we would have just locked ourselves out of the game. Instead, we get to play a Spire Bluff Canal here, and the question is, are we going to level up Artist Talent, or are we going to play second Artist Talent? And I like what we did. I like playing Artist Talent the second here because it digs deeper towards the Floodmaw that we're going to need, and it fills up the graveyard for both Leer and Dig Through Time. And we're a long way from using this Hidden Strings with Damping Sphere, so I like the discard of that as well. Yeah, happy with that play. And then Shock in Hollowed Fountain, say go. It's hard to read too much into them shocking this in, unfortunately, because they have so many like 1 mana interactive pieces. They've got Spell Pierces, so it could just be Spell Pierce plus Rattle Chains. There are so many combinations of what they could have that they want 3 mana in, and their life total doesn't matter. So they could just be shocking it in as a bluff. I don't think we can read anything into them shocking that Hollowed Fountain in. It does. Yeah, they could also just want a second blue source. So then we drew Vizier. And this was a part of the game where I kind of struggled a little bit. Had a few choices, right? We could have jammed Vizier, we could have leveled up Artist Talent, we could have cycled Viziers. And I think I like the graveyard plan of cycling the Viziers, right? I don't think I want to play the Vizier. I think that's right out. I don't want to waste the turn doing nothing. I think I like cycling at least 1 Vizier and seeing where we go, and that's, I think, what we did. Some options, and it's with Dig, it's hard to justify much else. Yeah, I mean, like, The problem with this situation is that, like, this is deck chairs on the Titanic. We're trying to find a difference between the line that wins the game for us maybe 5% of the time and the line that wins the game for us maybe 3% of the time. So this is like, it's an interesting academic exercise to try to figure out what the right play is here, but it's also like not the decision almost certainly doesn't matter. I think I see in the background here that the next round's going to start soon. Yeah. I did suggest just playing Vizier. I think I don't like it. I think it's a low impact play. It does block the Mutavault. But I think we just need to get deeper in the deck. And Vizier cycling gets us one deeper in the deck, and it gets us one closer to casting Dig through time. Anyway, I think that's where I'll leave this because the next round starts soon. I'll be right back. All right. Let's hope to draw something that isn't Is It Flash. Kind of curious. What percentage of the field is playing? Apparently that is 2% of the meta. So says Goldfish. So somewhat unlucky to have run into it twice in, what, 6 matches? Yeah, the other thing about Mutavault there is that if they ever find Supreme Phantom, then it doesn't even block that super well. All right, we're up against Jesus Returned. And they have returned to play, oh no. The last thing they played was Rakdos Prowess, which I think is bad for us. The thing they played before that was Spirits, which I think is bad for us. And the thing they played before that was Niv to Light, which I think is good for us. Unfortunately, no companion as yet. The saving grace is that they played those decks over a week ago. So maybe they've moved on to something else. And they do seem to bounce around between different decks. So maybe they're going to play mono white tokens. Yeah, that's what they're going to play. Nope. There's Gigantha. Gigantha strongly indicates Rakdos Prowess. Although they didn't run? Oh yeah, they did run Gigantha in their version. Man, and we're also on the draw. This couldn't have gone much worse. What's the best matchup for Lotus? Anything like mid-rangey and dirtily. Like, if I had my choice, Rakdos mid-range would probably be the best thing to play against. So, I think in the dark, this is a perfectly keepable hand. The Expedition map, finding the Lotus Field. We have Vizier to dig. I think this is a perfectly keepable hand. I think against Rakdos specifically, it is too slow. So I think we ship this, especially on the draw. This is a better hand. So we can keep this. It still has no interaction, but we don't have to waste time finding the Lotus Field. I think we just ship the extra sleight of hand and try to find some sort of interaction with our considers. And we could just be dead, right? Like, this deck kills on turn 3. We have no interaction. What are you going to do? And they kept 7. Which is another thing to keep in mind. We'll start with sleight of hand. think I want Vizier. We're going to need like a top-end hand. Like probably in our like 95th percentile plus of runouts to win this game. And I think Vizier is part of that. And they're, yeah, all firing on all cylinders over there. I think we start with consider main phase. Okay. I think we keep it. Play the Steam Vents tapped, and like this has the makings of a hand that kills on turn 4, and I think that's the best that we can do. The problem is that their turn 4 comes before our turn 4 because we lost the die roll, and it's hard to fathom. Yeah, we might even be dead here. Six, 9, 11. Yeah, so this is like an utterly impossible situation. We have to try to go off here, but like it's such a small probability of success. Okay. We're at 5. So 2 real choices here. We can blow a strings and hold up Floodmaw for their turn. But I don't think that does anything. I mean, the problem is this has haste. So if we bounce this now, they just replay it. Yeah, they replay it as a 2/2, and then we're just dead on board. So the only line is untap Lotus Field, say go. Yeah, and that's good enough to do it. Yeah. Okay. Well, way more than they needed in order to win that. I've gone off about that deck before. It is like inconceivably difficult to beat them when they have their best draw on the play. And we even got lucky there to even get to their turn 4. So if you don't have a deck that can interact with that through Thoughtseizes and stuff, then you're going to end up playing a lot of non-games of Magic. Okay, so in terms of sideboarding, I think a lot of it is pretty similar to how we boarded against Spirits. We just cut a bunch of the slow crap. I think, though, that we keep Cathartic Pyre just because it's absolutely imperative that we be able to kill something. And on the play, there's a chance that we might actually, be able to cast it. I think we can actually cut some number of hidden strings as well. Maybe that number is just 1. Okay. Well, the other consideration, I guess, is that they've got 3 Thoughtseize in the board. Well, I guess they had no Thoughtseize in the main deck. They're practically mono red in the main deck, except for the Sellsword, which is mono red basically anyway. Huh. So we want better top decks against them is kind of what I'm driving at. Is there a world where we just sort of accept that these are too slow? Like, yes, they're part of the mana base, but I think it's fantasy to think that we're going to get to crack them. So maybe we just like pivot into a more Izzet control. Let's try this. I'm out of time, but I'll want to revisit that. It's pretty good, honestly. We have no removal spell, but we do have double Lotus, Hidden Strings, and a mystery card. If the mystery card turns into a removal spell or a pour over the pages or something like that, we're pretty good. And also, this is like Thoughtseize proof. They can't take away our mana here. Yeah, I strongly dislike opponent's deck. I think that this is, I mean, nothing on them, of course. It's a legal deck. Play whatever you want, win. But I think something is lost in the format when a very consistent turn 3 kills available. It doesn't leave much room for stuff like this. Hey Pablo, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you enjoyed the last challenge VOD. Glad to have you here. Feels like you have to play that deck or a direct counter to have success. I mean, yeah, maybe I'll get more into this in like the post-game review, but like, imagine going the opposite direction. Imagine a situation where you don't have a good aggro deck in the format, period. And we've had a few formats like that recently in Standard. And you get, wow, you get some degenerate stuff, like mid-range mess, top ends like, you know, the Aftermath Analyst decks, the Domain decks. And because there's no good aggro deck to keep those decks honest, you end up with a lot of messy late game Magic. So I think Magic is good when there's a good aggro deck. But this is like a knob on the format. The better aggro gets, the more of that greedy stuff you push out. And if it's too good, then you don't get any really greedy stuff anymore. And I think Magic is good when you have greedy things too. And I think that the line for me is like where we went from with the Amalia decks and the Sorin decks, which was like possible turn 3 kill every now and then, to reliable turn 3 kill through no interaction. I think that was my line. Okay, so here, after I get off my soapbox, what can we do? We can play Thespian Stage and hold up Consider. We can play Thespian Stage, play Vizier, and then play Lotus Field next turn. We can play Lotus Field, cycle Vizier. I think we are unlikely to die next turn, given that they had to spend time casting Feed the Swarm. And I think they Thoughtseize us instead of Feed the Swarm if they have that. So I think we can chill for a turn. So I think it's just play Lotus Field and chill. And then next turn, because we're pretty confident there's no Thoughtseize, we'll be able to play Thespian Stage, Vizier, copy strings, and have 2 Lotus Fields in play with a Hidden Strings backup and a Consider. Can I make a suggestion? My voice is too low, and putting something to keep the score would be great. Yeah, we can do that. I'll take that under advisement. I don't think I can do that right now, but sure. My voice is about as high as I can get it, unfortunately. I don't know why. In OBS, the mic bar keeps going into the yellow, so I feel like I'm loud enough. I'm even clipping sometimes, so I'll look into that. All right, so we can start by cycling Vizier, like we said. That's not a great draw. Are we likely to die next turn? I think the answer is we are not unlikely to die next turn. So I think we do kind of have to try going for it here. But we're going to need this Consider to be pretty good. That could be pretty good. So we have 5 mana, 9 mana. We can wish down to 6, and we're 1 mana short of wishing for Leer and going off from there. I think I like wishing for Niv. We have 2, 5, 9, 6. Yeah. I guess I could have wished for Bond of Insight. Maybe that was better. Okay, well, that's not ideal. Yeah, I think wishing for Bond of Insight was probably better. I think I went through that too quickly. It didn't occur to me that they could have second Feed the Swarm. I guess it makes sense. I was thinking that to kill Niv, they would have to spend probably at least 2 pump spells. And then that would be 2 card draws with Niv, and we'd go from there. Them being able to deal with it in 1 is problematic. We're going to get 1 more go at this, I think. I don't think they'll be able to kill me through Floodmaw here. I think I'm done playing lands at this point, too. I actually also don't know at this point how I win the game. I guess it would have to be Leer, Flashback Wish, cast Bond. Yeah, there are ways to win the game from here. Let's see if we can get them to go for lethal here. I'd love for them to waste a spell. Nope, too smart. Although it doesn't actually matter, really. They don't have enough mana to kill us at this point through Floodmaw. And we're either going to draw something that goes off and wins next turn, or we won't. I guess we're not technically dead. I feel pretty dead. We know one of the cards in their hand is a 2/2 haster, so any spell, basically, and we're dead. Still any spell. Okay. They respect the open mana. Oh, that's good enough to win, too. Man, that blew. All right, well, we'll drop from that. I'll play a league. That was too short an event. But I do want to go back and watch, see if there was anything we could have done differently. Okay, so we made the cardinal sin, which was being on the draw against Rakta's prowess. This hand, I think I was right. I think that this is just too slow. Like, imagine... Well, is it, though? So imagine turn 1 expedition map. So they play 1-drop, turn 1 expedition map. Then they play a 2-drop, turn 2 crack expedition map. They could kill on turn 3. If they don't, we'll have a Lotus Field in hand and 2 lands in play. And a Vizier and a Hidden Strings. So really, maybe I was too hasty throwing this hand away. Because if we draw a Thespian stage, we're in the same position, basically, that we were in Game 2. Where if we don't die on turn 4... If we don't die on turn 4, then we have a pretty good chance of going off and winning. This is actually a very good opening hand, except for the fact that we're up against aggro. And maybe it is good enough to keep. Maybe I should have kept this hand. I didn't think too hard about it. I think I just chucked this back. Maybe a little tilted from running into 2 putrid matchups in a row. Maybe this was a keep, though. I guess I did think pretty hard about it. I did spend a minute on it. Hand was good. Definitely a keep. Ship back the extra sleight of hand. Makes perfect sense to me. So the difference between this hand and the expedition map hand really hinges on what we're able to do with our turn 2, rather than cracking the map. Sleight of hand. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think taking poor makes sense if you think that you're going to draw a Vizier, but you're just as likely to draw a Vizier as you are poor, and Vizier opens up more outs. All right, so they play Emberheart Challenger. we get to consider and find the Thespian stage, and we have the setup that we were looking for. The only thing that would be even conceivably better than Thespian stage here is like finding into the Floodmaw. There's nothing else in the main deck that's good enough. I guess if we found Wish, maybe we're supposed to dig for Wish here, because then if we find Wish, then next turn we get to play Lotus Field, untap it with Vizier, and we have 3, 5, 7 mana. We can wish for Anger of the Gods and cast it. That blows everything in our clip. Like, we have to use literal everything to do that. And there's no guarantee that we win from there. Yeah, no, I like keeping the Thespian stage on top. I think digging for wishes. There's also only one wish in the deck. We're like unlikely to find it. So I think the plan here was good. Just hope that we're good through our turn 4 and try to win the game there. Yeah, but instead they swing at us for, what is this? This is 11 damage on turn 3. Yeah, and here, like, we're just dead on board, and I don't think there's much else to think about. Like, we have to try going for it through with one Lotus Field in play. That's almost never going to work. Yeah, taking a Lotus Field doesn't make sense. It's got to be Floodmaw. And yeah, the analysis I think is the same. If we bounce here, then they just replay it and we're dead on board. So we need to try to bounce it in their combat step and hope they have nothing. And they had something. So yeah, I think that was fine. How did we board? Yeah, I ran out of time here. I liked where I ended up. I liked cutting the expedition maps and turning into like Izzet control, and I think that that's something that probably should have occurred to me sooner. Yeah, and I think I like Fable over the digs. Like, Fable just creates the blocker, digs towards the pieces that we need, generates mana in some weird cases. Dig through time is only good if we're able to like actually delve, and the game is over so quickly, or at least the important part of the game is over so quickly that we're not going to be able to cast it. So I think if I had like 15 more seconds, I would have cut both the other dig through times and brought in the 2 other Fables. But I like where I ended up there. So we get to be on the play, and the hand is great. Opponent has kept 7, it looks like. The tanking was a good sign for us. Maybe they just had to go to the bathroom or something, but yeah, okay. So Spybluff Canal, Blackleaf Cliffs, and Swift Spear. So that doesn't mean no Thoughtseize. Often they will wait to cast their Thoughtseize until they have a 1-drop in play, so that they get the Prowess trigger, and there's not much that we can do with our turn 2 that they want to be able to Thoughtseize. I think that's maybe different if we're playing the green version and they want to take our Sylvan Scrying. This was like, I did this in a hurry. I'm playing the Artist Talent. I did think about consider looking for Fiery Impulse. I don't think it's necessary though. And I think indeed it's better to wait, because consider with Artist Talent in play lets us dig that much deeper. I didn't think about Feed the Swarm, but I think we're even okay with that, because Artist Talent was not a huge part of the game plan at that point, and it made them take their entire turn 2 off. And so now we're here. And we're very unlikely to die next turn, like I said during the game. Our options are like play Vizier and like play Thespian Stage, play Vizier, which I don't like. Yeah, I think we just have to play Lotus Field here and try to go off next turn with Vizier plus Hidden Strings. The only thing is, do we cast Consider first? And I didn't do that. I held Consider in hand because I was hoping to draw something like Artist Talent or something like that that would make the Consider pay off more later. But if I Consider now and I find Fiery Impulse, the upside of that is pretty high. Yeah, I think if I had it to do over again, I would have cast the Consider here. It wouldn't have made a difference this game, because I don't think we saw Fiery Impulse. Oh, I somehow missed that follow. Thank you for the follow, TG Strategist. I appreciate it. Yeah, so this is straightforward. We made the play that I just described. We take 3, and now we get to go for it. And I don't think there's anything to do but go for it. We're at 14. They have 4 cards in hand. They kept 7. If they have land, well, they even missed a land drop, right? Yeah, they missed a land drop. So we know that those 4 cards in hand are spells. I think we're extraordinarily likely to be dead next turn if we don't win here. So I think we do have to go for it. We have Consider and Vizier to find answers. This is another place where, like, Consider might have been better on the previous turn because it digs us towards another Consider. And we just effectively wasted 1 mana that turn. We found Wish. Now, this was like the last major decision of the game. So I did the math here, like, and I ended up with 9 mana after this Consider. And I saw Wish and I saw 6-drop and I decided to do it. If instead I wish for Bond of Insight, what happens? We Bond of Insight, and we have 2 mana left at the end of that. We mill 4, so do they, and we regrow Hidden Strings plus whatever the best other sorcery in our graveyard is, which currently is Consider. But if we mill like a Pour Over the Pages or something, which is reasonably likely, we get to keep going off, or any cantrip. We have a billion mana. Yeah. I think that's a lot better than getting Niv. I felt like put Niv in play, you block one of the 2 creatures next turn. They have to cast 2 pump spells. You draw 2 more cards. But drawing 2 cards and blanking an attack from 1 creature seems worse to me than just trying to go off with whatever the best card is from your top 4. Yeah, I think that was a pretty big mistake. I think we should have gone for Bond of Insight. Might have been a game-losing mistake. And then what happens? Right, went too far. So immediately they play Feed the Swarm, kill Niv. We draw one card. It's Floodmaw. They swing in for 5. We go to 9. Draw a Lotus Field. And yeah, pretty dead. I think here, I think every decision from here was basically scripted and didn't matter. We need to Floodmaw Challenger and hope to draw Pour Over the Pages, and that just did not happen. Yeah, what did we draw, just out of curiosity? Anger. Yeah, anger wasn't good enough. Like it had like the slightest chance of a victory, but not enough. Okay, well I think that was valuable. I think it didn't occur to me to even like it. We identified a blind spot of mine, not going after the bond, and I think that could have made a pretty big difference. We would have known what do we know? We know that we hit Floodmaw and Anger of the Gods, and a Lotus Field as those top 3 cards. So we would have gone one deeper with the bond. No, because Niv drew the Into the Floodmaw. So the cards were Floodmaw, Anger, Lotus, and Pathway. So we would have regrown Hidden Strings and Consider and gone like a card deeper. So it still would have been better, but combination for this tournament of pretty crap matchups and bad luck and opponents just firing on all cylinders. And that's just going to happen sometimes. Like, I don't think I can beat myself too much up. I don't think I can beat myself up too much for that. All right, I'll jump into a league. Just let me use the washroom first, and I'll be back. All right. Let's try a Pioneer League and see if our luck turns around a little bit. Content creator matchup. Another Daybreak account over there. Insane MTG. Hand is good. Not much to say about it. We've been on the draw every game so far, or every match so far, so eventually that's going to have to stop. Okay. Maybe it's Rakdos mid-range. Maybe it's not Rakdos prowess again. Well, taking Cathartic Pyre screams its Rakdos prowess. Although no Giganta, so maybe not. I'm questioning whether I want to put this into play or not. If it's like a discard heavy-ish deck, then spells... I mean, it's unlikely to just survive in my hand, period, but yeah, I think I'm going to lead off with Steam Vents tapped and say go. It's a low opportunity cost. We can always play it next turn unless they thought seize it, and if they thought seize this, then we still get our Lotus Field into play. We have Vizier and Strings. So really, if we just draw Thespian Stage, we're in pretty excellent shape. That's some Jund. Stomping Ground, Shock, go. What do you guys think? Is this gonna live? Or is this gonna get, like, torn asunder? All right, I'm going to play it out. I don't love its chances of survival. Yeah. Okay. Paw Patch Formation. And Fable. So this is just like good old Jund Rock, which I would think would be a pretty good matchup for us. Is it insane to hold up Jwari Disruption? Feels pretty insane to hold up Jwari Disruption. What 5-mana spell are they likely to commit to next turn? It's not going to be Invoke Despair. They don't have the mana for that. I think it's just play Lotus Field. Fable, pretty good Magic the Gathering card, in case you haven't heard. They have 3 cards in hand. They pitch 1. Okay. So 2 of these cards, at least, they really, really like. Maybe all 3. Wow. Okay. They discard 1 to Fable and miss a land drop. That's scary. However, we did draw the Thespian Stage. Do you think that this person is running what's it called? Assassin's Trophy? Because it can't be Beseiju. They would have played Beseiju as land. I think we chill. I think we are still unlikely to die next turn. And in this way, we can even hold up Odawara to bounce something if it's like a transmogrify target. I guess it's probably... This could be creativity. And if it is creativity, they're going to be kind of sad. Double Paw Patch formation. Yeah, so this has got to be like a creativity make a token deck that they just think Paw Patch is good in. Okay, so if it is creativity, they're going to go for a post-combat. And if instead it's like just transmogrify, we have the answer. Is creativity x equals 2? So, yeah, that's just going to happen. Yeah, we're just going to allow that. And it's Atraxa and Dragon Lord Atarka, which is fine. If they find Thoughtseize or something, then we can cycle Vizier, copy, and Jwari disrupt that. And then we'll untap with Strings and 2 Lotus Fields and a Volkite Awakening. What did they get? Thoughtseize, Torch, and Blood Crypt. Yep. So they certainly are going to go for the Thoughtseize here, and we're going to do the aforementioned play. Now we got to find something. Consider's a good first step. We have 10 mana. Would love to find like an artist talent here. Vizier. Vizier's essentially free. Another Volkite. Okay. Well, then let's start. I guess by casting Volkite Awakening. And we'll just put back everything except Hidden Strings. We find... Okay, that's pretty good. That's probably enough to win. Probably. Only question then is, what are we wishing for? We have 4, 5, 9 mana. We're in the same spot we were before, except this time Bond is not in the sideboard. It's in our main deck. Huh. Okay, so what about this? What if I... Nope. Could it really be that there's just nothing to wish for here? 5/9, wish down to 6, and then Lear is 1 mana short. We can fetch Niv, but we're dead. Huh. So we can, I guess, wish for Galvanic Iteration? No, that doesn't work. We can't Galvanic Iteration and then Hidden Strings. We don't have enough mana to do that. Yeah, I think we're just toast. We can also just play Thespian Stage, Expedition Map, and crack it for an Odawara. What else did they hit? Not chat. I want the game log. Thoughtseize, Torch, and Blood Crypt, so nothing too exciting. Reflection can't copy any of these. Expedition Map for Odawara costs 3, so we are going to need to blow this Hidden Strings. And then 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Map. Yep. I think that's kind of where we're at. So we're just going to like bounce Atarka, take 9 next turn. I guess I'm bouncing Atraxa because when this, they can conceivably recast this, and then that'll replay. That'll be 5 damage to us. And if they can like creativity for 1 into another Atarka, we're not dead. Okay. Another Thoughtseize, sure. I should change the titles as well. Okay, okay. We're not dead. We get to copy and we get to bounce Atarka, and we're still alive. Please, God, give me something that draws cards. I guess technically. There we go. That's nice. There's Lear. Poor seems good. Lear scares me, because I think it's fairly likely to die. But I guess if I do this, I can Pour and then Lear. Flashback Pour, or can I? We'll have 7 mana. I'll have to Lear flashback the Hidden Strings, and if they kill Lear in response, then that's pretty awful. But we'll hopefully draw something good off Pour. The other option is just Cycle Vizier. I think that's much worse. All right. We're trying to make this work. I'd love to play Lear with more mana. And we get to Pour. We can also Pour Talent. Seems hard to beat Pour. Finding Floodmaw, by the way, now means that we're not just dead. We are dead to a land, because they can replay Atarka. Okay. Strings. I guess I should have considered first instead of strings. Because I could have found an artist talent. Just bin that. Okay. Now we can play this pathway. And here's Lear. Please don't kill it. I guess here's something cute. Oh, okay. I was gonna say we can flashback Hidden Strings from the bin with 4 mana up, and if they kill Lear in response, then we can Otawara it back to hand, and then we'll resolve Hidden Strings, replay Lear, and just do it again. Yeah, I think that was the line. Okay. So this seems like a matchup for Filter Out. What are they likely to have? Might have Ley Lines of the Void. Certainly a bunch of Thoughtseizes. I'm into the Fables. Although I guess this is a pretty significant nombo. Yeah, maybe we're not into Filter Out. Maybe. We'll see. And this is a very good top deck, so I like it in these mid-range mirrors, although it's real bad if they exile the graveyard in some way. Down to cut Impulse. Down to cut Cathartic Pyre. Flood Maw seems very, very, very good. Because they like land Atraxa and then we just bounce it and we say, what are you going to do about it? You know what? I think it might be something like this. Hedge against them having Leyline of the Void, have a good answer in response to creativity. They don't have a counterspell. Like, they're not playing blue, so it's hard for them to interact with that on the stack. I think I like this. Okay, so this has no Lotus. However, Fable is one of the best cards that we could possibly have against them. Consider helps find it. We have Talent, and we have the Thespian stage. So all we need is to find a Lotus. And we don't need to do it right away. They're not super fast. Hey, Saritha. Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, so predictably duress. I assume you take Fable. Could see an argument for taking Talent. That's what they choose to do. So probably another Thoughtseize, I guess, is pretty likely. Say go. If they Thoughtseize me again, we have to think about whether we're going to cast the Consider in response. Because they might feel like they have to take Fable. Bit of Reunion's fine. That's cute, actually. That makes their stuff much more of a threat. Being able to give all of their creatures haste, the turn of creativity. Yeah, so now we're just going to consider and dig for something that finds a Lotus. That's not that. All right. Do we Fable here? Or do we consider here? I think we do. Because if I find like an expedition map, I probably want to play it. I'll bin that for the same reason. It's just not a... It's not a Lotus or a way to find one. And that's the most important thing right now. Flood Maw is nice as a way to blow up a creativity for x equals 1. They have Fable of their own, sure. I think I actually really like Flood Maw bouncing the Goblin Shaman. Slows them down pretty significantly. And we're going to tap out next turn for Fable almost certainly. Well, the game has opinions about what we should be doing. And who am I to disagree? If you want to Thoughtseize me, be my guest. It's kind of a tame turn. Discard Mountain, discard Fatal Push, Stomping Ground tapped, Torch to tower my token. Love it. Okay, well, that makes our Fable a little bit worse, to be sure. We definitely are discarding the Vizier here. The question is, am I also discarding the Thespian stage? Maybe there's a world where we discard Wish. Yeah, actually, I like that. I think I want to pitch Wish and Vizier. Nice. And then I'm going to play the Lotus Field out here to protect against like a Go Plank effect. And then I'll cycle this just in case I find something good. Okay. That's a nice one to have in our back pocket. Their game had opinions as well, yeah. So they could go for it here. They know all but one card in our hand, so it wouldn't be insane for them to go for it. But they don't. We have how much mana? 5. I kind of really like Otawaraing back the Fable to our hand. But we'll see. It looks like the plan might be to just cast Creativity X equals 2 and then haste it up with Bitter Reunion. No, they're just chilling. All right. All right. Well, I think we just say go. And there is maybe a world where this Thespian stage makes a copy of Fountain Port. Shuffler's losing its mind. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of both morphed into similar decks. I'm pretty sure we have inevitability here. Like, they're the one who needs to push, because at some point we will just draw, pour over the pages, and go off. Eat your heart out. Okay, so they're hellbent. Tough choice about whether to copy Fountain Port or Lotus Field. We don't make tokens particularly well. I think I'm just going to copy a Lotus Field. It also plays well with the double Otawara we have in hand. Like, it gives us enough mana to channel both. Okay. I don't think we play that. We've got both Otawaras in hand. Your experience with Lotus Fields is that 2 is more than enough. Generally, I agree with you. I just don't think Fountain Port is good enough right now to justify not... Like, having the third Lotus Field can save us from needing to find a hidden string to combo off. And in these low-resource games, I think that matters. We also have them in a very tough spot. Like, the Creativity deck does not like the fact that I can double Otawara here. And we can't double Otawara if we don't make the Lotus Field here instead of the Fountain Port, right? I guess we can. We'd have 8. Yeah, maybe that's fine. All right, well... that was a pretty good draw. Yeah, I'm just gonna take this. Actually, think I like this now. Because we're not copying anything, really. We just get to save 2 points of damage, and now we can replay the Fable. And we still have the Odawara to bounce a thing if they creativity X equals 1. Come on. We're running out of time now because they will soon have 2 fables, like 2 reflections that they can copy off of each other infinitely, and a ton of mana to be able to do it. So we basically need to find an answer in the next couple turns. I guess maybe that's not quite true, because we can always bounce in response to them trying to copy when they go off with this. Yeah, I guess all is not lost. We still have that. Am I blocking? I think I'm blocking. No, I'm not. Okay. Sure. Okay, well, this Thespian stage will be a copy of Fountain Port. Expedition maps are there to find lands, yeah. Ooh, that's less than ideal. This flips. I think I just have to let that go. I did cut a dig through time. And I cut Cathartic Pyre, Bond of Insight, dig through time. Why? What does this achieve? Because this has to happen on my end step, right? Otherwise, what's the point? And yeah. So they can, like, they only have 1 untapped reflection and it's summoning sick. They could sack the Bitter Reunion, I guess. I'm not even sure we're gonna like complete game 3 at this rate. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Just chill, I guess. It's tough for them to kill us through this Odawara, and they just don't really... Thoughtseize me. Please, please, I beg you. I want you to do it. Please, God, Thoughtseize me. This is fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna block and... I don't think I am actually gonna block and sack. I think I'm gonna sack in the end step. Because I don't want to expose whatever I draw off of this to Thoughtseize. Okay. That's bad. Alrighty then. Well, that's certainly going to have to go. And now we're going to have to win this turn. Valgaboth's also really annoying. Sure. Okay. What can we do? Alright, now we're unlocked. Valgavoth means that we don't get to use our graveyard anymore. So we have to be a little careful. This leaves 5, right? Yeah. I think I just start with sleight of hand And do I pitch the artist talent? I think so. I think I'm just looking for Lear. Uh-huh. Actually, keep hidden strings around. Untap these. Pitch Lotus Field. Now we can level this up. It is significantly too late for any of these to make a difference. Kind of doing it. Found Lear. Oh my god, we're gonna do it. Kind of. Like we have no untappers left. We need that. I absolutely need that. Come on, Magic Online. Don't do me like this. Come on. Might as well. It's going to go away otherwise. I think we're there. That's really good. Yeah, Vizier. I guess Vizier. Okay, 3 cards in the library. We're there, folks. They're tapped out. All right, that felt pretty good. Whew. That was the deck just not behaving at all. And if we were going to lose that match after losing those two in the challenge earlier, it was going to be a pretty bad day. Um, that said, I do have a bunch of other work I need to do, so I am going to I'm going to head off to do some work. That's where I'm going to cut the stream for the day. Let's see if there's anyone that we can send you guys over. I'm sure there are people who will take care of you. Oh, yeah, let's send you guys over to Moldhound. I don't usually stream at the same time as him. All right, yeah, Moldhound, frequent guest on Decked Out. Generally funny human being, much funnier than me. Yeah, I'll see you guys there.